Have you ever found yourself agreeing to something you didn't want to do? Perhaps it was a friend asking for a favor, a colleague pushing extra work on you, or a family member imposing their will. You felt that uncomfortable pang in your gut, but you said yes anyway, fearing disappointment, conflict, or being seen as selfish. And then later you regretted of not saying no, or questioned yourself, why didn't I just simply refuse? Well, congratulations, you've come to the right place. Today, we would learn from a real-life Stoic how to say no. We'll be going through some real-life problems that people face throughout the time, and I promise I would make this simple and short. Welcome to Stoic Pulse, where we delve into the timeless wisdom of the Stoics to guide us through modern life. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more Stoicism content. Today, we're addressing a topic that many of us struggle with: how to say no. It's a simple word, yet it can be so difficult to utter. But as the Stoics teach us, saying no is essential for maintaining our integrity, peace of mind, and our personal freedom. Let's consider Sarah's story. She's a young professional, eager to climb the corporate ladder. Her boss frequently asks her to stay late, take on additional projects, and even cover for colleagues who are out. Sarah feels the weight of each request, but fears saying no might damage her reputation or hinder her career progression. But what does this cost her? Sarah's weekends blur into her work weeks, her personal life fades, and the burnout starts creeping in. She becomes irritable, stressed, and ironically, less productive. Now let's pause here. What would a Stoic do in Sarah's place? Enter Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic philosophers. Marcus often spoke about the importance of controlling our own minds and not allowing external pressures to dictate our actions. He would remind Sarah that every yes to something she doesn't want is a no to something she does want, like her health, peace, or her personal relationship. For the Stoic, saying no isn't about being selfish. It's about understanding your priorities and staying true to them. As Marcus Aurelius said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom, aligning your actions with your principles, even if it means disappointing others. Imagine if Sarah had the courage to say, no, I can't take on this extra project right now, as I have other commitments. How would her life change? She might initially fear the consequences, but over time, she would gain respect, not just from others, but from herself. Now let's consider another case regarding this of a man named Upton, who used to live with his parents. A middle-aged man who couldn't say no to his demanding parents. Mark's father, a retired businessman, constantly expected Mark to manage the family business on top of his full-time job. Mark, seeking his father's approval, never refused. This relentless obligation strained his marriage, disconnected him from his children, and left him feeling trapped in a life he didn't choose. The stress accumulated over years until Mark experienced a severe health crisis. Heart attack at 45. His body was finally saying no, even if he couldn't. This is what happens when we fail to set boundaries. Our physical and mental health deteriorates, our relationships suffer, and we lose sight of who we are. But let's reimagine Mark as a Stoic. What if he had kindly but firmly told his father, no, I can't take on the business. I need to focus on my family and my health. Initially, it would have been hard, maybe even heartbreaking. But over time, that decision would have allowed him to live a life aligned with his values, strengthening his family bonds and preserving his well-being. Now, you might be wondering, how can saying no be virtuous? Isn't it our duty to help others? The Stoics would argue that while helping others is important, it must not come at the expense of our moral duty to ourselves. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, taught that our primary responsibility is to maintain our inner character and peace. He said, no man is free who is not master of himself. This means that true freedom comes from being able to say no when something doesn't align with your values or when it threatens your inner peace. A Stoic understands that life is short and that we must focus on what truly matters, rather than spreading ourselves too thin by trying to please everyone. Let's look at a real-life example of a modern Stoic. Tim Ferris, the author of The 4-Hour Workweek, is a self-proclaimed Stoic who has mastered the art of saying no. He receives countless requests for meetings, interviews, and collaborations, but he's learned to decline most of them. Ferris understands that his time is limited, and that to achieve his goals, he must be selective about where he invests his energy. By saying no to most opportunities, he can say yes to what truly matters: his creative work, health, and his relationships. This doesn't make him selfish, it makes him effective. Ferris often quotes the Stoic philosopher Seneca, who said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." By saying no, Tim Ferriss ensures that he doesn't waste his precious time on things that don't align with his life's purpose. Now that we've explored why saying no is essential and how the Stoics approached it, let's dive into how you can start saying no like a Stoic. This isn't just about turning people down. It's about reclaiming your time, energy, and your peace of mind. First step is clarity. Before you can confidently say no, you need to understand your values and priorities. Imagine yourself as the gatekeeper of your own life. Only the things that truly matter should pass through. This means you need to be clear about what you value most, be it your family, your health, personal growth, or your professional goals. Let's take another real-life example. Meet Jason, a talented graphic designer. He's frequently asked by friends and acquaintances to design logos, create websites, or help with marketing, often for free or at a steep discount. Jason is a kind person who wants to help, so he finds it hard to say no. However, each time he agrees, he sacrifices time that could have been spent on paying clients or his personal projects. This is where the Stoic principle of preference and aversion comes into play. The Stoics believe that we should focus on what is within our control: our actions, our thoughts, and our responses. Jason needs to ask himself, is saying yes to this request within my control? Does it align with my goals and values? Or is it merely an obligation driven by external pressure? Once you have clarity on your values, practice asserting your boundaries. The next time someone asks for your time, money, or energy, pause before responding. Consider how this request aligns with your priorities. If it doesn't, give yourself permission to say no. But how do you say no effectively without feeling guilty or causing unnecessary conflict? The key is to be firm but kind. Take, for example, Lisa, a working mother who's often asked to volunteer at her child's school. Lisa values her involvement in her child's life, but she also needs to balance her professional responsibilities and personal time. Instead of overcommitting, Lisa might respond with, "I appreciate the opportunity to help, but I'm unable to commit to this right now. Perhaps I can assist with something smaller in the future." Lisa's response is firm, yet leaves the door open for future possibilities that align with her schedule. She's not just saying no, she's saying yes to the things that matter most to her. Another approach is to use what I like to call the Stoic pause. This is the moment you take to reflect before responding to any request. Imagine your mind as a courtroom where you are the judge. Weigh the request against your priorities. If it doesn't pass the test, respond accordingly. A Stoic would say, "It's not that I'm rejecting you. I'm simply staying true to myself." Let's revisit Sarah, the young professional from earlier. After practicing the Stoic pause, she begins to recognize the toll that constantly saying yes is taking on her health and happiness. The next time her boss asks her to take on an additional project, she responds with, "I appreciate the trust you have in me, but I need to focus on my current responsibilities to ensure I deliver my best work." This approach not only sets a boundary, but also reinforces her commitment to quality, aligning with her professional values. By doing this, Sarah gains respect, maintains her integrity, and protects her well-being. Remember, saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you discerning. It's about choosing where to invest your limited time and energy. Just as Marcus Aurelius would remind us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When you say no to things that do not serve you, you allow your soul to retain its true color, rather than becoming diluted by external demands. Lastly, keep in mind that the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Just like strengthening a muscle, the more you say no, the more confident and empowered you will feel in setting boundaries. And each time you do, you'll be aligning yourself closer with the Stoic ideal of living according to reason and virtue. So, as you go about your day and week, start small. Decline a minor request that you would have normally accepted out of habit. Pay attention to how it feels to protect your time and energy. Over time, this practice will become second nature, and you'll find yourself living a life that is more in tune with your true self. And the more you practice, the more confident you'll become in protecting your time, energy, and your peace of mind. Seneca reminds us, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." If you spread yourself too thin by always saying yes, you end up being ineffective and exhausted. But by mastering the art of saying no, you become more focused, more intentional, and more in control of your life. Saying no is a skill, one that the Stoics believed was essential for a good life. So next time you're faced with a request that doesn't align with your values, remember the Stoic wisdom we've discussed today. Share us your miseries you suffered just because you hesitate to say someone the magical word no. We would love to hear that from you. And if you learned the lesson from today's video, you would know what you should have done in that situation. Thank you for watching thus far. Your patience indicates you're not far away from being a Stoic yourself and conquer the miseries of this cruel world all by yourself. If you found this video helpful, consider give it a thumbs up and do subscribing for more insights from the ancient Stoics that can guide us in today's world. Together we rise. And remember, saying no is not the end. It's the beginning of living a life true to yourself.